Hello everyone, it's Danzen here. We are currently on the day 12. Since yesterday we discussed about the data using arrays, and for it's basically some variable that has multiple of values, multiple of elements, which are very useful for especially if you are a backend engineer and play around with the database. You will be using the arrays, and for it's a lot. And then we could see here if else and else if. It's the most like the mandatory of any knowledge in the programming. You will often to use this. Maybe if you are already expert, you will be using this a lot, or probably you want some challenge, you try lead code, and you will see if else and else if many times. So yeah, that's for yesterday, and we are currently right now about to create a readable code with convention, whitespace, and comments in C#. So we are diving into some new knowledge here. Okay, let's see here. Let's just head to the introduction immediately, not wasting the time. Okay, the code that you write should communicate your intent to both the compiler and other developers who may need to read your code. Code is just like a language, basically. It's just a tool for communicate for the compiler or just the other developer that want read your code. If your code is already bad, who wants to read your code and who wants to use your who want to use you as a developer? So basically your code should be readable and easily to read by others, and especially if you are in the future, you want to read your code back, then you will not wasting your time trying to figuring out your old code that was very bad. So that's why here we are learning about how to create a clean code. Basically, I will say a clean code. We will be playing a lot with the convention, whitespace, and comments. What convention is related to the variables that is has a clear meanings, not just a contraction like x or maybe y, but has a whole word and real clear meanings, so that you can understand it with a single sight. All right, what is the next one? And since you are the developer who will be reading your code most often, sometimes months after you originally wrote it, it's in your best interest to write code that's clear and easy to understand. Remember, you may write code once, but you will need to read it many times. We are not just read it like one times and then we are done. No, we will be using our code a lot in the future, especially if you are a real developer and try to collaborate with other programmer. Suppose you and your peers will understand each other by trying to clean your code, trying to make your code is easier to read and just has a meaningful. So yeah, basically this module is the right way to learn how to make a clean code. Okay, let's continue. Suppose you have been asked to write codes for another group of developers. You meet with them to discuss the specification, and the assignment is clear. After the meeting, they tell you that you will be working independently during development. Once you are done, you will hand off your code to the other group. The coding task isn't beyond your skill level, but you have never had to write code that someone else will be maintaining. The team told you that as long as you two follow the standard coding convention for C#, there should be no problem. You make plans to review the C# coding convention that relate to the code you are going to work on. In this module, you will learn how to choose name for your variables. Okay, variables here that describe their purpose and intent. You will learn how to add code comments. That document, okay, code comments here. The higher level requirement and your approach in code, as well as to temporarily instruct the compiler to ignore lines of code. And finally, you will learn how whitespace can be used to help convey the relationship of individual lines of code. So yeah, there are like 3 keywords here that we are gonna be playing with, which is variables, then comments, and whitespace. These 3 is basically is useful for clean code, which make easier to read and understandable. And let's see how can we work with those 3. By the end of this module, you will write code more purposefully, focusing on the readability and quality of the code to communicate to both the compiler and the other developers. So not just for us basically, but it's obviously for other developers which can understand your code. Probably you're working in the development environment, and of course you will collaborate and teach someone else. And of course they will read your code, they will see your code, how it looks like. So try to make it as good as you can. Try it as simple. Simplicity is better than complexity. So yeah, just focus on how you can make the code is more readable and easy. That's the basic here. And we can see some important here. This module includes code. Okay, this is straightforward important. So just install the Visual Studio Code. I'm not gonna explain it again. I have explained it multiple times here. So let's just head to the learning objectives here. So our objectives for today is choose a descriptive name for variables that describe their purpose and intents. We will be using the variables and how to approach them. Try to name the variables much more descriptive and has the purpose, have a meaningful purpose and clearly understandable by just seeing once, not just like a contraction like X or Y. That will be difficult to see and understand what is actually the meaning of this variable. So just follow the rules and the convention and you'll be like 50% ahead of the programmer or developer. Okay, and use code comments to temporarily instruct the compiler to ignore lines of code. Yeah, so basically the code comment is just the compiler is basically ignore the code comments. Code comments is equal to useless in the compiler. It will not read by the compiler, but actually we are human. We are human still useful for us to write the code comments, even though we know that for compiler it's just like a trash. It's useless. But as a human, we want to write code comments here, and essentially it's for you in the future and for other developers to read your code comments. We will see the next objective here. Use code comments to describe. Here is the important things. Describe higher level requirement or purpose for a passage of code. So it's the intention of the use of code comments is for describing something that we cannot understand by just seeing the code, especially if you are still having inexperience, you are still inexperienced, or just total beginner. You will want to use a code comment as description, or just to explain something that other people cannot understand. So that's why how powerful is the code comments. Okay, the first one is write code that effectively use whitespace to convey the relationship of lines of code. Don't forget that we have the whitespace technique here. When to use and why not to use it. I think there are like 3 types of whitespace, which is space, and then a tab, and enter for a new line. I think that's considered as a whitespace. So we will be dealing a lot with the whitespace for just making our code is easier and not look messy, and looks neater. Yeah. So here is the prerequisite. You can actually read it yourself. You understand Visual Studio Code, console write line, and if else if, which we already learned about it in the previous. Okay, choose a variable names that follow rules and convention. Okay, this is about the variables I see here. So don't just type a random variable like blindly. You type variable like this one, x, or just y, or just a, or just b, or just random. Even though it's successfully in compiler, but for human it doesn't success, because you will be confused what this stands out. What does the meaning? Okay, a software developer once famously said, the hardest part of software development is naming things. Not only does this is maybe true. Not only does the name of variable have to follow certain syntax rule, it should also be used to make the code more human readable and understandable. That's a lot of ask of one line of code. I see. Yeah, naming things. So that's why we're gonna learn about how to name variables like an expert. Variable name rules. Okay, and we got this variable name convention. This is rules, which is a must, and convention, which is almost a must, but it doesn't necessary. But it's like you have to, because the convention are suggestions that are agreed upon by the software development community. Okay, let's read this first. There are actually some variable naming rules that are enforced by the C# compiler, like this one. Variable names can contain alphanumeric characters and the underscore character. So yeah, it can contain alphanumeric. And also the underscore, okay. Special characters like the pound, this is like kind of hashtags, the dash and the $sign aren't low. Oh, what about other special character than these three? I don't know. Let's see the next one. Variable names must begin with an alphabetical letter or an underscore. Okay, or an underscore, even though it's alright to use the underscore, but you're forbidden to use to begin the character with an underscore at the first place. Okay. Also, not a number. Using an underscore character to start a variable name is typically reserved for private instance field. A link to further reading can be found in the model summary. What is actually the private instance fields? I still have no clue about this yet. Okay, variables names must not be a C# keyword. There's actually many keywords if you see here. Keywords like as far as I know, we already learned about the false, and then true, and then return, continue if you have see this already, do, and then string, static, void here, char, class, and yeah, so many of them. That's basically C# keywords. Essentially, just don't try to name a variable exactly the same name like the C# keyword. It looks weird, and also, why do you want to do like that? There are so many words that you can use instead just having the same name with the C# keywords. Just be creative with it. Okay, for example, there's variable names declaration will not be allowed. Okay, like I said, float. This is funny, bro. Float, or string. Variable names are case sensitive, meaning that string myValue and string myValue are two different variables. What is the difference here? String is the same thing. I see the capital, the uppercase in the beginning of the character here, the M, yeah. As far as I know, you should be using the camel case format, yeah. Camel case. I think we're gonna be learn about it. Oh yeah, in here, yeah, camel case here. This is like basic format that almost every C# programmer or developer is using it, but we know that we can use uppercase on the first character, but that is still considered as a bad naming variables. Just use the name convention that is used by the most development community, and you will be a lot more easier to read, and other developer of course will be read your code easier. Okay, then the next one is about the name convention. Variable name conventions. Conventions are suggestions that are agreed upon by the software development community While you are free to decide not to follow this convention, they are so popular that it might make it difficult for other developers to understand your code. You should practice adopting this convention and make them part of your own coding habits. So make your own coding habits with this, please. Starting from the variables, and then we get into the code comments, okay, and the whitespace. So variables, comments, and whitespace. We're gonna be dealing this a lot and a lot in the future. Even though this is not sort of like a problem solving, but this is will help the problem solving process is much easier, because if the problem solving format or just the problem solving code is easier to read in the display, then your problem solving process will be much easier because you read it easily, and the process must be easier. If it looks messy, then your problem solving process will also looks like complicated, more complex, and you will take many hours maybe. So that's why this is how powerful the clean code technique is. So yeah, let's see here first. So basically they are so popular. Yeah, we should practice adopting this convention. Even though we know that this is not enforced by the C# compiler, but this is it's a must, or else it will be difficult for us or for other developers. Let's just read this first. Variables names should use camel case. You know camel case? Camel case technique. This is the camel case. It's begin with the lowercase character from C. C is lowercase camel, but the second or the next word should be start with the uppercase or capital. That's how the C# development community suggests. There is also stuff or variables that start with the uppercase, but that's not in the C#. In C#, we agree that camel case is our standard. So just use that, please. Okay, which is a style of writing that use a lowercase letter at the beginning of the word, first word. Yes, and an uppercase letter at the beginning of each subsequent word. For example, string this is, I is uppercase, C is uppercase, and the fourth word is capital. So the only lowercase, the only subsequent lowercase is this one, the first one, T. Okay. Variable names should be descriptive and meaningful in your application. You should choose a name for your variable that represent the kind of data it will hold, not the data type. For example, bool order complete, not bool is complete. So is complete is just representing the data type, but as far as we know, in this guide, in this suggestion, you should not use the variable to represent the data type. This is start from is complete, is referring, is representing to boolean, because is complete, it have to be true or false. But I think this is still okay. but let's just follow the suggestion from the software development community, which this is a much better one. Order complete. Well, I see. We should not be using is, even though it may be helpful to differentiate between what kind of data type is this variable, because we already state the data types right before the variables. Is it boolean, or is it string, or is it integer, float, decimal, char? We basically already put the data type right behind the variable here. All right, so this is must be useless because this is already access boolean. We know that the variable is boolean by just seeing the data types right behind the variable. Right, variable names should be one or more entire word appended together. So yeah, don't use contraction because the name of the variable may be unclear other who are reading your code. Here, for example, decimal order amount, not decimal ODRAMT. I know this is order amount, but just contraction version. I usually use this actually. That's why I sometimes looks messy for my code, but I'm trying for now I'm trying to do a whole word so that it will help me read my code easily. Yeah, it should be like this: a full word that appended together. This is for understandable. Alright. Variable names should not include the data type of the variable. You might see some advice to use a style like string or just str my value. It was popular style years ago. However, most developers don't follow this advice anymore, and there are good reasons to not use it. Yeah, like I said, why do you use the str value? Why do you even use the str, which is string, when you already state that this variable is a string right behind this variable? It's kind of useless to put str or just the contraction of string. Basically, it's useless. Just immediately use the whole words and append it together. Like maybe you have 3 words, like this is camel case, or maybe like item quantity. Just a whole words that has meaningful and clear meanings, something like that. The example string first names follow all these rules and conventions. Assuming I want to use this variable to store data that represents someone's first name. Yeah, this is a kind of a simple example. First name, we know without seeing any description, we know that this variable will be representing someone's first name. What about a variable like item quantity? We know that the item quantity variables is representing like how much of the items is by just seeing the variable's name. That's one of example a clear names and has meaningful on it. Let's see example of clear C# variables. There are like many of them, like data source, data value field, data text field. These all are clear variables. Understack, bitmap object, graphics objects, yeah, something like that. You will understand that by just seeing once and not just twice or even more. And no need actual description for that. If your variable's name is already understandable. Okay, let's just see another example here. Variable name example. Here's a few example of variable declaration using common data types like char, user options, like, or is it A, B, C, D until Z, Z, and then we got integer here, which is representing the numbers. Game score. If we see, I know what will happen for this variable. It will have numbers such as 100, 200. Like if you play Mario Bros, you will know about the game score. This is how powerful good naming on variable. I know what exactly this does. And then the next one is a float, particles per millions. Usually use maybe some in the chemistry, I think, or just physics. I know what does this does by just seeing the variable. Since the variable name is already good, this is kind of a camel case format. Start with the a lowercase word, and then the subsequent here is capital, and the third one is also capital. Obviously camel case, and it has a whole words particles per millions. It's understandable easily. And then the fourth one, we got boolean, processed customer must be output true or false. Is it's just like asking, is the customer has been processed, yes or no? Interesting. I understand this all by just seeing once of the good naming variables here. That's how you do a good naming of variables. Just follow, just learn a lot. Just try to do some exercises or making some projects using a good naming of variables, and you'll be much more better in your development or just programming. Other naming convention, we got another one here. The rules and conventions described above are for local variables. These are locals. Okay, local variable is a variable that is scoped within the body of a method. So actually inside of a method only, or available in a console application that use top level statements like the code in this module. This is a top level statements without any like a system dot whatever it is. There are other types of construct that you can use in your application, and many have their own convention. For example, classes are often used in the C# programming. Classes, oh, you see it there. So not just only for variables, but classes is also do the same thing. You want to name it as good as you can and have a meaningful or just a descriptive, so that you know what this class does and what is will be inside of the classes here. Okay, and have associated conventions. Although you will not be creating classes in this module, we're currently just learn about the variables and what is it. Yes, right now only variables. Probably we will be playing with the classes, or will there be any second clean code module? I don't know. It's important for you to know that the naming convention you just learn about fit into a larger naming framework. So this is just a smaller framework, which is variables. We will do the same thing for larger framework such as classes, methods, namespace. I think namespace is also folders. You don't want your folder. Let me give you some simple examples, such as this one. We got camel here. Camel has milk. What if I contract this? I name it contraction. This is a milk. And then we got leather, but I write it like letter, like this. And then again, camel is store water. I just want to write it like this. Maybe for now I can understand it this perfectly. This is, I know this is water, this is milk, this is leather. But in the future, or someone else that wants to read the code here, the file here inside of the camel folder, will ask a question. What is this actually? What is LETR? What is MK? What is WTR? They don't have any clue. Or just me in the future. I forgot what is this one. What is WTR? What is MK? Monster Kingdom? No. Well, what you have to do is to drag in this module. We want to name it, have a clear, meaningful name, like milk, leather, and water, like that. So you can just understand it by just seeing once, and there you go. That's how the clean code work. Okay, right now we cut into the check knowledge. Which of the following is an example of correct camel case formatting of a variable names? This is easy one. Not this one. It start with the K, the uppercase. This has a space between user and option. No. User option. This is the correct answer. Take your answer. Yes, I'm correct. Continue. Okay, we got the middle lesson here, middle units. All right, create effective code comments. In this exercise, you will add nodes to your code and temporarily disable certain lines of code from compilations. Okay, actually we can just disable some code by just commenting it. Then you'll look at how the C# compiler understands whitespace and how to use whitespace to increase the readability of your code. So this unit is about the comments. What is code comments? A code comment is just an instruction to the compiler to ignore everything after the code comment symbol is in the current line. So after you put the double slash here, everything in this single line of code will be ignored by the compiler, by the .NET compiler, and we'll move on to the next line, which doesn't have any double slash. But if the next line have also the double slash like this, it will not be read still by the compiler. So yeah, this is how you disable some code that you don't want to use at the moment, or just you want to disable it in order to test, or just for debugging, or try to figure out without the code, or just evaluate something different, just use the other conditional. Okay, this may not seem useful at first, however it's useful in 3 situations. When you want to leave a note about the intent of pieces of code. Okay, let's say we leave a note about the intent of the pieces of code. It can be helpful to include code comments that describe the purpose on or the thought process when you are writing a particularly challenging a set of coding instruction. Your future self will thank you. This is actually the keywords here, future self. Since you already write a good comments or write a good description about hard like problem solving there, you will understand in the future and will not discover with a long time. So that's how code comments can be useful in this current situation. When you want to temporarily remove code from your application to try a different approach, this one is much more important than here. But you are not yet convinced your new idea will work. You can comment out the code, write the new code, and once you're convinced the new code will work the way you want it to, you can safely delete the old commented code. So yeah, just you can actually, like I said, disable the code or just remove the code by putting the double slash, which is comment, and try a new idea or new situation that you want to start a program with without that code. How do I explain? When you this is actually already explained. Yeah, something like that. Okay, adding a message to like to do to remind you to look at a given basis of code later. Okay, just check. Let's just like status, right? Yeah, this code is to do. This code is still under maintenance. This code is still not have solved for the problem yet. You actually want to give some status of status. Okay, while you should use this judiciously. It's a useful approach. You may be working on another feature when you read a line of code that sparks a concern. Rather than ignoring the new concern, you can mark it for investigation later. Okay, for a reminder, like if you have an finished the code yet, like a bunch of code that you haven't solved it yet. You want to make it as a comments for the whole code that still need to do, and then you have another code beside or just below of your to do code. So that the compiler will ignore the code inside of the to do. I see. Understandable. So here code node, another node here. Code comments should be used to say what the code cannot. Often developer update their code but forget to update the code comments. It's best to use comments for higher level ideas and not to add comments about how an individual line of code works. Okay, so basically it's like you zooming out and just a description for the bigger picture, the big picture for this code. Like a bunch of code, not just a single line of code. Every time a single line of code, you put a comments on it. That's totally wrong. That's totally will be inefficient because it looks messy and yeah, why do you want to make like comments each in individual line of code? Why not just every 10 of code or just every a passage of code you want to put like a big picture description for that code? That will be much more efficient and much more easy and control, of course. So let's just go to the exercise. Just prepare your coding environment here. This is pretty straightforward. I have already explained it a lot of it. Or just check my YouTube video on the day 8. I already installed a bit of Visual Studio Code and configured the C# with some extension that is required for that. Okay, create and use code comments. In the styles, you will try creating and removing various types of code comments. So starting from the string. Okay, let's just. I haven't opened this yet. Visual Studio Code. Let's put it side by side like this. Hello world. Pretty popular. So what I have to do right now? Create and use code comments such as this. This one is using the code comments so that this guy will not be read by the compiler and not will be displayed by the compiler. Only this one, which have the console.writeLine and inside of it, which is the literal string, should be the output. Let's test this first. If it's work or no. I see. Where's the run? Where's the terminal? Yeah, here is the terminal. Okay, I think I haven't opened the folder yet. Let's open the code here. Select the folder. Program.cs here. I haven't put this yet. Wait again. This will be C# Microsoft here. Yes, this one. Let's just delete this all. Part 2 model. Oh, another code here. Let's just use this one. I think I will not use this. Move to result bin. Alright, we can start right now. Enter the following code. So this one, string first name is pop. Why not just copy and paste it? Since this is just formatting or just a clean code purpose. Here we can see the string first name. First name is easily identified, which is someone's first name. So someone's first name should be pop, and then integer widget sold. Like how many widgets are sold? Is it 7? And console.writeLine. Dollar mean interpolation, which can put variable inside of the curly braces inside of the literal strings, like first name, and widget sold, which already exists or declared in the previous lines here, first name and widget sold. To modify your code with code comments and revisions, update your code as follows. So what we need to do is put the comments here right after the widget sold declaration. Okay, testing a change the message integer with the widget sold is equal 7 console.writeLine first name sold. Okay, take a minute to review your comments and code updates. Notice that code comments are used to document the potential change being made. Code comments. Yeah, the code comments is actually used to document the potential change being made and to temporarily disable the old message as you test the new message. Wait, is there any different here? Oh, I think let's just use this one. I see. We're just replacing the widget sold with the widget purchase. And here I see sold and purchase. Wait. Oh, actually I pronounce purchase. Yeah, purchase. Yeah, we just temporarily disable this one. You can actually activate it again and we can disable it again like this. So that's we are gonna test this one widget purchase and purchase. Your next step will be to test your update. Okay, what will happen? I forgot the terminal here. Let's just start .NET Run. I forgot the test project here. So yeah, open the integrated terminal as usual and .NET Run. Pop purchase 7 widgets. What if I want to disable this here and this guy and activate again like the previous one, like this? So the use of comments will be like this. You want to activate and deactivate again, or just disable it for some purpose, like what I'm doing here. Like I want to test the sold context here. So that's why I have to comment the purchase one. If I want to test the purchase program, I have to comment the sold code, which is here, which is sold and sold console.writeLine. There. If you're satisfied with the new code, you can safely delete the old code that was commented out. This is a safer, more methodical approach to modifying working code until you're convinced that you are ready to permanently remove it. This is exactly like what I'm doing in my work as a freelance. I was using the XML as my languages, but it's actually not a programming language. It's basically just like HTML. But the concept of clean code is almost similar with this. When you want to try a new code, you want to comment the old code once like this, and then after I satisfy or believe that this new code will it's possible to replace the old code, then I want to delete the old code. But right now I think we will gonna be using the purchase one, so the sold one will be an old one, so we're gonna be deleting this one, a comment, a variable that has sold, and a literal string that has sold. Basically we want to change sold to purchase. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, add the terminal command prompt. Okay, once more here. Yes, exactly like this one. Let's test this out again. For purchase 7 widgets. Again, if you're satisfied, delete the old code. Yes, I did it already. Delete the code. Your code should match the following. Exactly the same. To apply a bug command that comments out multiple lines, update your code as follow. Oh, we can comment multiple lines. So that is the format. Little bit different for the comment format. Usually you use the double slash here, but you use the what is this, a star slash and star. What is that symbol called actually? That's not comma, that's what does this let's skip that one. Not really important for the conceptual. Let's block comments are great if you need to write a long comment or remove many lines of code, or just simply control and slash like this. I think this will work fine. Just use the control and slash. That is for basically for shortcut, but it just double slash each of lines, not like this, which you appends multiple lines with like two symbol here, slash star and star slash. Block comments use slash star at the beginning of the code, and yeah, at the end. Using a block comment is the quickest and easiest way to disable 3 or more lines of code. But if it only one, you just use a double slash like that. Replace your existing code with the following. Okay, we should copy this guy. Okay, new one. Random. Okay, we got string, order IDs, loop truth is blank, order. There are many C# concepts in this code listing that may be new to you. Is there any new things for me? Random is, I know what is that is. For, I know what is for. For is basically this will be the initial number starting from 0. This is I is as an index. Index is equal to 0 means the initial or just starting point number is 0. And then this is the conditional for the for statement. So I less than the order length. The order length must be 5, yeah. So 0. So I, it has to be less than 5. So, which the maximum should be 4. And the increment is 1, yeah. 1 per iteration. Understandable? Okay. We got timer here. Timer, time to break. Right. So yeah, break is over. Let's continue. Where is my last part here? Replace your existing. So we just replace. We just put this code inside here. So there are many C# concepts. I think this one that may be new to you. Where is C# concepts that is new? I don't think there's a new one here. Integer prefix value. This one is integer. Is assigned to random.next. So their numbers will be 65 to 69. Yeah. This is for prefix value. So I see random as an object, and then object.next. So prefix value will have random numbers between 65 to 70, or just see the comments here. Okay, string prefix here is to convert to char prefix value to string to char. I don't know why there are like two conversion here, to char and to string. There's no value inside of to string, so I don't know. So yeah, basically it's not necessary to understand what the code is doing in order to appreciate how comments can help reader understand the purpose of the code. Yeah. Take a minute to see if you can figure out the purpose of the code. Given the comments, you might be able to figure out what the code is doing, assuming the comments accurately describe. They describe the current state, and were updated as the code was updated. But can you guess why this code exists? Will not be helpful if there was some explanation at the top of the code file at the that provided some context and described its purpose. Let's me figuring out what this comment does. So okay, basically the first comment is about loop through its blank order ID. Okay, for integer, so it should be start from 0 to 5 here, and then has the increment of 1. Integer prefix value random. Okay, get a random number from 65 to 97. Okay, string prefix. I think this one is conversion line of code, and then the suffix random 1 to 999. The string, okay, 2000. I think this comments is a little like it's distraction to our code. Why not just putting it to the top here, like you explain the bigger picture how this code will work. This is much more tedious, much more tiring to see each of the code, and you don't have many control if you put comments for every line of code. I don't like this one is a bit messy. What you have to do is put the comments, put all in here, and make it like a big picture of description what this actual code, a block of code from random to here doing. That will be nicer. Consider how you will improve the comments. Notice that there are two main problems with this comment. So what is the actual problem here? Let's see. The code comments unnecessarily explain the obvious functionality of individual lines of code. Yeah, okay, these are considered low quality comments because they merely explain how Caesar or methods of the .NET class library work. Yeah, low quality like this one. This is unnecessary. You already know by just seeing the code. You just need to learn more about like the syntax, the statements. Just use mini documentation like the IntelliCode code here. As you can see, where is it? Like this one. This is a mini documentation where you can read about it. So it's just like walking a comment. So this comment of every single line of code will be unnecessary. Just remove it all. And yeah, it looks messy. I don't like it. And basically low quality comments. Very destructive. .NET class library. If the reader is unfamiliar with these ideas, they can look them up using learnmicrosoft.com or Intelligence. The code comments do not provide any context to the problem being solved by the code. These are considered low quality comments because the reader doesn't gain any insight into the purpose of this code. Yes, same thing. I don't have any clue what is going on by just seeing the comment. Loop through each blank order ID, get a random value that equals to ASCII. Convert the random value. It's painful to see this. You should have just put a big picture description in the top here. Yeah, like a bunch of comment here. Then I can understand it easily, especially as it relates to the larger system. Even though we know that this is a lower system, but still it's a bit painful to put random comments for each lines of code. Very painful. Remove the existing comments. Let me just copy this. There you go. And right now this code is much more looks not messy and neater, nicer. So maybe our next task is put the comments for big picture what this code going on, basically for the explanation. Okay, you notice that the code is already less cluttered. To add comment that explain the higher level purpose of your code, update your code as follows, or just add this to the top here. Yeah. Okay, let's read this big picture. The following code creates 5 random order IDs to test the fraud detection process. Okay, I see. So yeah, basically just like yesterday, we want to analyze, we want to figure out is there any fraudulent ID with a letter B. But right now, this code creates 5 random order IDs to test the fraud detection process. Order IDs consist of a letter from A to E and a 3-digit numbers. Example is A1 to 3. So beginning is should be letter A, any letter that start from A to E. But previously, the fraudulent alphanumeric, start from B. So any word, any character, any word that has a B character inside of it will consider as fraudulent. That is in our previous video, which is day 11. That is code challenge, I think, if I remember. How about this one? The comment usefulness is subjective. In all matters related to code readability, you should use, yeah, in all matters related to code readability, you should use your best judgment to what you think is best to improve the clarity of your code. So the output, let me just test this out. The output will be like random 5 IDs, order IDs. Please, yes. So we got 5 random generated order IDs. Pretty interesting here. We can actually make some IDs here, useful for maybe customer ID and some other things that is related to ID generations. The fraudulent one will be this B, the third one, and the fifth one. Okay, let's get into the recap here. The main takeaways from this exercise is use code comments to leave meaningful notes to yourself about the problem your code solves. Code comments must be something similar like this, which has a big picture about how is the process of the code, start from the beginning to the end. For every class you make, maybe each class has a big picture description about the code block inside of the class. Maybe even namespace. I think namespace is too big. Just lower it to class, or maybe methods. Yeah, it's methods. You can just put a big comments on it and try to explain what that method's doing. For example, methods that will print a say hello to the user. So the comment will be, this method will say hello to the user, something like that. That's one of example how you use the comment for your nodes. Or maybe other developer want to see or read your code, will be helpful if you write short description like this. So yeah, description is powerful here. So I suggest it's not just for yourself, but for other developer can read your code. That's my point. Okay, the second one is don't use code comments that explain how C# or the .NET class library work. Because as I said, it's basically we already has the mini documentation here, like this one. When you just hover your mouse like this, you will see there is a IntelliCode documentation here, or just refer to the actual Microsoft website like this. Oh, not this one. Microsoft something like methods here, and then you can just put the screen side by side and check it out, and you will see and you will understand what is this methods or class doing. So your comment is obviously will be useless. So That's how the code comments should not work. Obviously useless if you put the comments for each offline will be looks messy, and I really don't like it. It looks messy, too much of lines of code, even though we know that the comments will not be read by the compiler, but it still looks messy. Like this guy, this is too many. After code by code there's comments. You should put it like this for every method, or just every problems that you face. That's it. Okay, use code comments when temporarily trying alternative solution until you're ready to commit to the new code solution. At which point you can delete the old codes. So this is essentially if you are gonna test or evaluate a new lines of code or a new block code, you want to test it out, and then the current or the old code that still remain in this editor, you can just disable it by just commenting it with the double slash or slash with star like this, and then you can input your new code, then test it out with the .NET run here. And then if you're satisfied with your new code, you can actually delete the old code that you still having in the editor. But if you just unsatisfied, just delete the new code and reactivate again, or just enable again your old comment that you're just commenting it. So that is basically the purpose of code comments. So it must be meaningful notes, and then don't use the code comment explain the C#. This is very low quality code comments. We should use the code comments for higher quality, like this one. That's a big picture or just a solution of the big problem solving. And then for a testing or evaluating purpose, which you disable and enable the comments, or just replace, not just replacing the old one immediately without you commenting it, so that your reference will be gone at the time. No, it will not be like that, but just disable the old one, and then you put right below of it the new code that you want to test it out with the .NET run here, so that you can have reference side by side there in the editor. Okay. The third one is never trust comments. They may not reflect the current state of the code after many change and updates. Okay, I don't know what is this meaning. Never trust comment. I don't trust comment here. What do you mean? Oh, probably after we done so many changes or updates of our code, of our program, but we still have old code, old comments like this, very expired comments. We should not trust like 100%, but just trust the actual code one here. Basically, this is just for reference, not for every time you read the code you believe that this comment should be the right thing. It's not something like that, but you still always referencing the actual code here. So yeah, Basically, the comment is just here, it's just there to help you to understand what is code going on there. Right, let's get into the next one. Is use whitespace to make your code easier to read. Now we will be playing about the whitespace. Okay, print and web designer understand that putting too much information in a small space overwhelms the viewer, so they strategically use whitespace or negative space to break up information to maximize the viewer's ability to consume the primary message of their work. Okay, yeah, small space. Information in a small space is very tedious to see, very painful, like pain in the ass. They strategically use white space. So this is another important thing besides comment and variable conventions. We should use the white space, the gap. You know the gap, a padding. Should be like this. This is what we call white space, but a new line technique. If you do like this, maybe it looks painful. It looks a little bit messy, or just you doing such like this will be looks unsatisfied. I don't really like that. So that's why white space technique is exists here. Developer can use a similar strategy when writing code in an editor by using whitespace to convey meaning. Developer can increase the clarity of their code's intent. Okay, negatives, even negative space. Yeah, break up information. Essentially, just like you read a book is not compressed into like lower space, but it has like paragraph. If paragraph that has a gap between paragraph, a space that is very balanced, I think. So that's why you enjoy reading books, because the white space is there, the white space concept is there. If there is no white space, then it will be chaos. You will not enjoy the book anymore. Like, there is no paragraph, there is no space again. How it will look like? It will be like 100 of pages compressed into 50 pages. We know there's a small amount of pages, but very painful to read, because how it's messy is. Okay, what is white space? So basically we need to know what is the definition, the right definition of white space. It's actually that refers to individual spaces produced by the spacebar, tabs produced by the tab key, and new lines produced by the enter key. So basically this there are like three concepts here, which is spaces, tabs, and new lines is considered as a white space. So we will gonna be using the spacebar, tab, and an enter key. So I took whitespace is only about the spacebar, but there are two more about it. So tab is considered as whitespace, and even new lines is considered as whitespace. But my actual question is, what if I do like make a new line here, and then I'm just doing some enter here? Is this called a whitespace? Even though there is no space here, but it immediately goes into the next line. Oh, I see, there's a white space here. This one. I see. Okay, let's just consider that a new line is white space. Okay. Add code to illustrate how whitespace is ignored by the C# compiler. Okay, so comments and whitespace is ignored by the C# compiler. Understandable, so we got both of them ignored by the C# compiler. Okay, this guy is pretty straightforward. If you haven't already installed the Visual Studio Code and configure the C# with some extension that is required there, just check my video on the day 8. I explained about that. So enter the following code. Here is for example. Let's just copy this guy. Then, as you can see here, example 1. Wait, what? Why this is not working? Console that right line. Oh, let me test this one. Will it work or no? Or just will have an output of an error? Console that run. Oh, I haven't saved it yet. Sorry. That's why. Hello example 1 and hello example 2. Even I don't believe this will be working as well. I see. In Pascal, something like this will not work. It must be on a single line, but in C# it's actually working. Oh, I see. Maybe pretty useful for some purpose, but for clean code matter, this will be like pain in the ass. Yeah. So console.writeLine with the open close parenthesis, literal string, and semicolon. So yeah, even though this will work, it will always end in the semicolon. So the break barrier should be the semicolon. Okay. I thought it just only work in the single line, but actually even multiple lines will be work unless you just put the semicolon there and it will be work fine. All right. In the Explorer panel, to open a terminal at your test project folder location, right click test pretty straightforward. Take a minute to consider what the result tells you about how you should use a white space in your code. These two code examples illustrate two vital ideas. So yeah, white space doesn't matter to the compiler. However, white space, when used properly, can increase your ability to read and comprehend the code. So the purpose is not for functionality. It's basically, as we are human, we need to read and comprehend the code easier and understandable. That is the actual purpose of white space. So yeah, display. That's why front end engineer, front end developers exist, is to display to the humans. Actually, front end is useless for just a compiler, for just a machine, but for human is like art, like music. It's pretty useful for human, but not for machine. The useful one for machine is back end. Front end is just like decoration. This one is just like decoration. But for human, this will be easier for us to understand. That's the point. Okay. You likely write your code once but need to read the code multiple times. Therefore, you should focus on the readability of the code you write. Over time, you'll get a feel for when and how to use whitespace, such as the space character tabs and new lines there. Those three we will be playing a lot in this unit. A complete command, a statement belongs on a separate line. Complete command, a statement. Oh, this one is statement belongs on a separate line. If a single line of code becomes long, you can break it up. However, you should avoid arbitrarily splitting up. Yes, sir. A single statement to multiple lines until you have a good reason to do so. This is one of the worst reason to do multiple lines things. You should not do this. Instead, just making it as a single line of code and you'll be fine. Okay, use a space to the left and right of the assignment operator. Right, space to the left and right. Use a space. Okay, let's see here. Replace your existing code with the following code. A new guys. Okay, random dice here like this. Console.write line. We got if here. All right. Notice that this code doesn't include much whitespace. This code will be used to illustrate an approach for adding whitespace to your application. Effective whitespace will make it easier to understand what your code is doing. So note here, the code used the random class. Yeah, random class. But the object is dice. Why not just random? To help develop a simulated dice game where the total value from 3 rolls is used to evaluate winning score. The code award extra point for rolling doubles or triples. You don't need to fully understand this code in order to see the benefit of including the whitespace. So take a minute to consider how you will use whitespace to improve the readability of this code. I think this one is a bit smaller of code one. There is no a gap between some like a bunch of code that has similar things, similar types like this. Why not just you make a space here, and then if you see another statements, you should do like this. Random is about the creation of object. This line of code will create a new instance. After that, this is some of the fields. This is fields. The declaration of integer should be separated by a new line here, I think. So I can just differentiate here. If you do like this, it will still look messy. I think this is better. So after that, we got a console.write line here for display purpose. And then I think this guy is, or maybe just, if I press format documents, it will immediately become like this. So yeah, you need to do like this. Else, this is the standard format for C#. There you go. Oh, and one more here. There you go. And now this code is much easier to understand, to read. So yeah, basically the random class here is just Like in our previous challenge, which we have simulated dice game, total value to evaluate winning score, and then we got some extra points with doubles and triples. Okay, understandable here. Take a minute to consider how would you use whitespace to improve the readability of this code. There are two features of this code to take note of. There's no vertical whitespace in this code example. Vertical whitespace? Is there any vertical whitespace there? Vertical means goes up, yeah. Horizontal means goes side by side there, left to the right. That's horizontal, and vertical is going up or down. Yeah. In other words, there's no empty lines separating the lines of code. There is no empty lines. There's no empty lines separating the lines of code. Vertical. It all runs together into one dense code listing. The code block as defined by opening and closing curly brace symbols are compressed together, making their boundaries difficult to visually discern. So generally speaking, to improve readability, you introduce a blank line between 2, 3, or 4 lines of code that do similar or related things. Like what I did before here. Phrasing your code using vertical whitespace is subjective. Did I wrong about the vertical things? Vertical means going out, right? Like this. This is a vertical line, and side by side is about the horizontal line. What do you mean by a vertical whitespace? Is it whitespace that goes vertically? It's possible two developers will not agree on what it must readable or when to add whitespace. Use your best judgment, since each of people have different perspective about the whitespace technique, about the clean code. But the very minimum things that you have to do is just follow the standard rules that already agreed upon by development, by software development community, and then you can try to modify yourself depending on your choice, as far as you follow the convention and rules in C#, then you'll be fine. Yeah. Where is my last thing here? Okay, the second line is blank code. Okay, blank. Okay, again, blank again. Okay, this guy is declaration and immediately prints out. And then we got if you still haven't format this yet. So did I? Your first line of whitespace is use separate of declaration of the dice variable from the code lines used to assign value to your roles variables. Your first line of whitespace. Where's my line of whitespace? Here, the second line. Okay. The declaration of the dice variable from the code lines used to assign value. Assign value to your wait. The declaration of dice. Okay, the declaration from your code used to assign value. Okay, it's between the declaration of dice variable and then role assignment here, because this is pretty different. What is it? Pretty different type of code there. The separation make it easier to see how dice is being used in your code. What if I do like this? You will maybe not notice this guy because you stack them. You almost combine these three with the upper one here. But this with the cap of whitespace, it will be much more neat. Yeah. Your next line of whitespace, which is here, spread the declaration of your role variables here from the declaration of total. Okay, total, and immediately we come into the console.write line, which will display an output. Grouping the declaration of your three variables is helpful in two ways. First, it creates a group of code lines that includes related variables, very related all of them, even though those variable names are different each other, just the numbers. But the role is actually the same. Okay. First, it creates a group of code lines that includes related variables. Second, the variable names are so similar and the declaration follow the same pattern. So grouping them together draws your eyes to the similarities and help to expose the differences. Finally, your third line. Where is third? Oh, here. Separate another group of related statements from your nested if statements. The group of statements that include the declaration of total and the console.write line method is related by the purpose rather than appearance. Your code is focused on the total value achieved by the three dice, and whether the role included doubles or triples, these lines are related because you need to calculate total and report this result of the roll to the user. Third line, yeah, here, third line. So basically, we want to separate this as an output and if statement with some nested if statement. So outer if and the inner if here, we got two if. So why actually we group total and console.write line. Okay, it's because the purpose, it has similar purpose here. Also, this is pretty the same thing. Total is equal roll 1 plus roll 2 plus roll 3. This is the same thing. Even it has no, it is different on the what is it, on the appearance. Like this is start from the integer, which is declaration thing, and the 8 line is start from the console.write line, but the purpose is actually the same. This is for the calculation and this is for the presentation. Yeah, this is for the calculation, this is for the presentation of this calculation. So basically we can group this, just depends on your instinct maybe. Method is related by purpose rather than appearance. Your code is focused on the total value achieved by the three dice. Your code is Okay, your code is focused on the total value achieved by 3 dice and whether the roll include doubles or triples. This line are deleted because you need to calculate total and report the risk. Okay, calculate and report. Yes, as I said, some developer might argue that you should add an empty line between the declaration of total and the console.write line again. The choice of whitespace is up to your best judgment. You should decide which is more readable for you and use that style consistently. Just depending on your choice, your judgment is the best. Focusing on the lines of code below the if keyword, modify your code as follow. Yeah, something wrong here. Something wrong here. Why the curly braces is right after the if statement? It should be right here, down here, right below the if statements. The same thing applies with some curly braces here. Yes, this guy is already correct, but not this one. Or some of the curly braces is stacking with other curly braces. It looks very painful, looks very tedious to see. I not really like it. The one who I like for the formatting is this one. Much more easier to read. So notice that you have moved the opening and closing curly braces to their online to improving spacing. The curly braces and curly braces symbol. Yeah, open and close symbol, create code block. Many C# construct require code blocks. This symbol should be placed on a separate line. Yes, I said separate line, not a stacking line like this. Else, yeah. Very messy. I don't like it. So that their boundaries are clearly visible and readable. Furthermore, it's important to use the tab key to line up the code block symbol under the keyword they belong to. For example, notice the line of code that start with the keyword if. Below that line is the curly braces symbol alignment. Make it easy to understand that the here belongs to outer if statement here, and the second curly brace as we see belongs to the inner if statement here, and finally we see the third open close curly braces here. The ownership will be else. So that's how the tab has a role in this context. So don't forget that tab is powerful as well to help you format this program, yeah, especially for positioning. But since now we can just actually format documents with just shortcuts, like let me give you an example here. Copy and then just select all, copy paste. Wait, not this one. Here, let me give you an example. Why not we just use format documents shortcut. My shortcut is Alt F. There you go, and you will see this document or a code will be formatted automatically. There you go. Yes. Furthermore, the last curly brace symbol lines up with the if statement as well. The combination of alignment and indentation make it easy to understand where the code block begins and ends. The code lines inside of the code blocks are indented, indicating that they belong to this code block. You follow a similar pattern with the inner if statement and else statement. So the same thing, like if statement here and else statement. The pattern looks similar, and the code inside of those code blocks. Yeah. Also, we got a color here, not this one. We got the actual color here, yellow. So the ownership will be the outer if statement, and we got purple for the second layer of curly braces. All right. Your code line is are indented, indicating they belong. Okay. Yes. Not everyone agrees with this style guidance for including whitespace. However, you should consider using the guidance as a starting point when writing code. In the future, you can be purposeful when making a decision to deviate from this guidance. So yeah, recap. The main takeaways from this exercise: use whitespace judiciously. Use whitespace judiciously to improve the readability of your code. Just use whitespace with one point, which is readability. To increase readability, you only use whitespace for one purpose, which is readability. And then I think we got more here. Use line fits to create empty line to separate phrases of code, like this guy. Random the creation of a new object here with, the declaration of object separated by what is this, line of whitespace. Yeah, single line of whitespace. You want to separate phrases of, what is it, a phrase of code. Yeah, this is what we call the phrase of code. It has similar purpose, it has similar appearance. The variable and the value is also the same thing, just different the numbers. Okay, something like that must be joined and separate with a different one, like the creation of object there. A phrase includes lines of code that are similar or work together. Use line fits to separate code block symbols so that they are on their own line of code. Use line fits code block symbol so that they are on their own line of code. Code block symbol, just like this curly braces. In this single line of code, it has only a single character, which is curly braces, opening curly braces and closing curly braces. Same applies with else statements, not just if, but every statement that has curly braces inside of it should be separated by whitespace, which is enter. Okay, use the tab key to line up a code block with the keyword they are associated with. So this is how you type something up here. So if there are a line of code that you looks unsatisfied like this, since this we know that this is inside of else curly braces, and else curly braces is on layer 2, then we want to type it like twice there. For the first layer, you just want to type it like 1 times. For 0 layer like this, where it doesn't have curly braces unless they got a main method. Actually, they got main method, but and in Visual Studio like this, the system already set up like this, so you don't need a main method. So yeah, that's my point. You just depending on the curly braces layer or level. If your curly braces position is here, you want to type it like 1 times ahead of the previous curly braces. just depending on your curly braces or just a simple code block. Okay, indent code inside of code block to show ownership. Yes, like this. This is pretty helpful to see which own this code block. Oh, I see. If statement on these code blocks. And what about this? This guy is owned by else statements. I can see by just seeing the curly braces here. It's useful for seeing to show the ownership. Yeah, something like that. Now we reach the exercise here. The challenge activity to improve code readability. Code challenge will reinforce what you have learned and help you gain some confidence. Let's just clear this thing again. Code readability challenge. In this challenge, you will use the technique you learned in this module to improve the readability of a code sample. You are provided with a code sample that is purely styled and commented. Your goal is to update the code using style guidelines for variable name, code comments, and whitespace to improve code readability. Okay, this is considered as a purely styled and commented. So many comments are available here. I don't like seeing this. It's very painful to see, like pain in the ass. So we have to make it neater, nicer. Put all those comments up to here and make it as a big picture to describe, to explain what this code actually going for. Yeah. So let's just read exactly and at this one, at this first step. So yeah, pretty straightforward information step by step again. So let's head to the step 2 to create the initial code for this challenge. Enter the following code. So exactly copy like it said. What is this? This code sample may include the .NET class library method that are unfamiliar to you. For example, you may not be familiar with to-char array method, the string class, or the reverse method of the array class. Where's the reverse? I don't see any reverse here. String, new message, new string. Oh, array, reverse. Yeah, I don't have any clue about this one yet. But actually, our challenge here not to understand what this method by method doing, but instead just formatting it into a better readability code or documents. Yeah, something like that. The high level purpose of this code is to reverse a string and count the number of times a particular character appears. Reverse a string. Reverse. What kind of reverse? Like dog be cat, and then cat becomes TAC. What do you mean by reverse a string? Okay, and then count the number of times a particular character appears. Still have no clue. Let's just what if I run it the .NET? What will happen there? The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Oh, basically reverse this string here. Okay. O appears 4 times. So so this is what this means. Count the numbers of times, a particular character appears. The particular character is O. So what if we change this to what if I want to put H? Maybe not the prompt. Oh, it has too many of them. I. Oh. E. Okay. Let me try E. Let me try E. I guess it will output 2 since we see only 2. Oh, 3 times. The first E, and then where's the second one? Oh, E there, and then there. Okay. I see there. Got the point. To improve readability, update the code using style guidelines. Use the technique that you learned in this module to make improvement to the code and increase its readability. Whether you get right. So we will use some techniques that we already learned in this module. So the first thing here, I just don't like the variable here. Why it's str? It's just like a contraction of string. This will be also, we don't do like string again. Why you put a C# keyword again after data types? That's not very come in handy. So the solution must be like this, a message. Okay, what about a message, or just full message? What about full message? Full message. Okay, any str will be replaced by the full message like this. Is there any str again? Okay, no. Okay, we need to, okay, the times is up already. Maybe just, but that's fine. Let me continue this a little bit. I should be break after this. Convert the message into a char array. So into a char array, okay, to char array. So each of them is converted to char. Oh, I see. Refresh the chars. Oh, I see. This full message is converted to char array, and then refresh the chars, and then array dot reverse. Okay, there is also a reverse methods here, and then we declare x equal to 0, count the O's for each char I in char message. Char message, where is char message? Okay, char message. Refresh the chars. I think the char message is already refreshed after this line of code. Let me understanding this, guys, a little bit. Count the O's for each char I in char message. What is I actually? Oh, a new variable. Okay, a new temporarily variable. This is temporarily. If I is equal, I don't like this guy. Why do you have to do like that? Okay, don't forget tab after the curly braces there, and then for the close brackets, I mean the close curly braces here, and then convert it back to a string. Wait. If I, oh, I see there is still a code there. So be here. There's still code inside of, what is it? Inside of the if curly braces. This one must be in here right after we press tab 1 times. So I is equal to O. So for each char, I in char message. In char message there, I think this will iterate will loop like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 until the amount of characters inside of the sentence, maybe around like 20 or 30, I don't know, like 20 or 30 times looping. And then we'll check if there is I, if there is O, every iterations. If I is equal to O for every loop, then X will be increment by 1. So here integer X will become 1. Yeah, this X is to count how many O are there. Yeah, so we can display how many O appears X times. I see. I understand the program here. So what about this one? String, new message, a new message. Okay, new variable, new string. Oh, is this a conversion to string from array to string? I see. I think. So the first guy is wait, what if I remove this one and I'm trying to, wait, there's a problem here. The name you mentioned doesn't exist in the current context. Okay, new message doesn't exist. I mean, let's just put the char message here immediately and we remove this guy. And what will happen if we run it? Will it become arrays? No, it will not become an array there. Why this is working actually? It's still array. It's still array. But it can be printed out. So this kind of useless. What is the actual purpose for this? When the output is the same, see, it's exactly the same. This again, I want to check it again. This guy there, yeah, it's the same thing. So no purpose doing convert back to a string here. Well, this may be useful for beginner, but as far as you going through some programming in the future, this will be like pointless, since you can actually see the documentation. Yeah, I see there. Let me just delete all of this. And make a description for what is actual going on for this code. Okay, the highlight this code is refers a string and count number of times a particular character. There you go, that is the purpose there. Refer a string and count the number of times a particular character appears. That's the big picture description. So we got the Okay, char, this is array. What if we separate them all? Console, okay, the console. Can we actually combine? I mean, make it not having a gap, since this is just a declaration full message. I see. After we declare the actual message, we immediately convert it to char array. So maybe we can combine this. I mean, we can join them into double lines. I mean, into a bunch of code. Okay. So after that, array reverse. I don't think about this one. So let's just check my code there. Okay. So review the solution to improve the code readability challenge activity. The following code is one possible solution for the challenge from the previous unit. So here is the the review, the answer, starting from the string full message, doesn't matter. And then char, this is the same declaration statements because it starts from data types and then the variable data types, but arrays and then variable here. So I think it still doesn't matter. The bottom one is, oh, of course, is perfect. Just this one. I think that's all right. This code is merely one possible solution. You may have come up with some different variable names and different vertical spacing and tab in. Well, wait, the X one, the count times letter count, letter count is much more reasonable because we want to count some particular character like O here. So it's reasonable to use letter count as a variable replacing the X character. That's it. I forgot the X. What about I? Hey, maybe a standard character for index. I think that's still all right. So, oh, I see. Char letter. There you go. So char letter in char message. This will be much easier to be understood by almost developers. I think so. Okay, let's read this first. Vertical spacing. Vertical spacing is just like this. This is called vertical spacing. This is called horizontal spacing. Just let you know. The code includes a higher level description, which is up here. But my comment is actually different than in the code snippets here. This code refers a message. Okay, counts the number of times a particular character appears, then print the result to the console windows. Oh yeah, this one is much more descriptive. I like it. Okay, this code includes a higher level description of what the entire code listing is attempting to accomplish in a multi-line comment at the top. You could argue that this is a small improvement over the original code comments. original comment. However, given the challenge description of the code, there wasn't much more context available. Okay, the individual comment were removed because they weren't providing any real insight into the code's purpose or function. Yeah, why putting comments for every lines of code? That will be tedious, that will be painful to see. Then of course it's not providing any real insight, it's just explaining its line of code, when actually you can just check in the mini guidelines, in the mini documentation, like IntelliCode, and just see the learnmicrosoft.com, which is the actual documentation there, and you'll be fine. And then we got here is the individual content. Okay, several blanks lines were added to improve the phrasing of the code listing. Yeah, as you can see, several blank lines of code were added to improve the phrasing of code listing. Keep code lines together when they appear similar or when they work with each other to accomplish a small task. Like before, it's just stacking each of the lines here, and there is no gap for each of line. But now, right now, we just cap it all and group it that it may be similar in functionality or purpose or appearance. I'm just grouping this as a similar in appearance, but this guy is grouping it as it has similar purpose. Which is array here, and this char brackets here is also an array. So yeah, array, but mine is about the same declaration. It start from declaration. This guy is start from declaration, and the second one is variable, and the second one is variable, and then yeah, assignment, and there is also it has relationship of the variable. This guy has full message, and this has full message as well, but as a string, and then the method from the string here, which is the toChar array. So basically, when they appear similar or when they work with each other to accomplish a small task, this is work together basically. Yeah, I'm doing this. So line feeds and tabs were added to improve the appearance for each statement and the if statement. As you can see here, I did some line feeds, and tabs here. Previously it was just like something like this, and the right way is just use the shortcut from the Alt F. I mean, my shortcut to format documents is Alt F. Maybe yours is different, so just look at your shortcut key. What is your actual shortcut key to format any documents inside of this code? And you will learn how to format documents. Right, local variable naming convention were applied to better convey the purpose of each value. Where's local variable? Oh, like this guy, it was X, and this X, and this X. It's replaced by letter count. It's much more reasonable. Yeah, naming conventions. Yeah, it's better convey and it's meaningful, yeah, letter count. Like when I see letter count variable here, I know what this does at the first sight. Oh, letter count, it will count letter, like how many O here will be there inside of this sentence. And also we replace the I character, the I alpha numeric here, with a letter variable here. Actually, this is a temporarily variable. We will not gonna be using it outside of the for each statements. So yeah, something like that. Also, we replace the what it was before, or str, yeah. Str, it's just a contraction of string, and it's pretty useless, pretty, you will not understand it in the future. The same thing like for other people will not understand what is actually str. But if you make it like full message word here, you will understand it. Oh, so this is full message. This is the starting point for the next process. Oh, yeah, something like that. If you identify the same issues and address them in a similar way, congratulations, continue on the knowledge check in the next unit. Yes, sir. So again, a knowledge check here, which is the following demonstrate recommend guidelines for naming variable. So naming variables. It should be camel case. That's the first one. Also, if I remember, there is no dollar sign. Dollar sign is forbidden. So also dash is forbidden too. So this must be the correct one. Which of, okay, the second question, which of the following is a bad reason to use a code command to describe the high level intent of the code? This is good, pretty good reason, because this is like a big picture of description for this code doing. Yeah, it's a must. Yeah, that's how you try to do clean code process. And then to explain has a new no. You actually want to see the documentation in the IntelliCode or in the actual website, which is the learnmicrosoft.com. There you see the real actual documentation there. What about the to temporarily comment out a line of code while evaluating a feature in different way? This is like enable and disable a thing. Instead just replacing immediately. This is much more helpful than just replacing some code. Yeah, so this must be the answer. Which of the following statement about using whitespace is code in code is true? Whitespace is in code is true. Okay, so about whitespace. Whitespace reducing the amount of whitespace will improve code performance. No, since whitespace is ignored by the compiler, then it goes move on to the next instruction or code immediately. That means the code performance will not be affected. Yeah, so this will not be affected. That means this answer is false. What about whitespace will be used every 2 or 3 lines to separate code lines? Why the question is why 2 or 3 lines? That's the question. But let's see the next answer first. Whitespace will be used judiciously to improve the readability of your code. This one is much more, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, judiciously. So not every 2 or 3 lines, but judiciously is the best keywords to separate code lines. Yeah, when you think that's the best, just depends on a person perspective. If you see, if you see that is satisfying, then there you go, you put some white space there. But if you don't think that it will be helpful for you, then don't put the white space. Easy. Yeah. So summary here, your goal was to write code that easy to read and understand. Use a variable naming convention to improve the. So we're just learn about the clean code. Use variable naming convention. Improve the readability of code. Camel case helped you identify a local variable as opposite to other identifier in your code. It also gives you a way to use multiple words that describe the purpose of a given variable. It also gives you a way to use multiple words that describe the purpose of a given variable to the array. Use comments to temporarily remove code that you wanted to rewrite before deleting. You also use code comments to add more meaningful explanation of the code's higher level purpose in the system. Finally, you saw how the compiler doesn't care about whitespace in the code, which is the whitespace will be ignored. The same thing like code comments will be ignored by the system, so you use whitespace judiciously to help improve the readability of your code. You learn that you write the code once, but read the code many times. Yeah, this is the actual important things. As a programmer, we need to read our code many times, not just writing once and you're done. No, not something like that. But we'll be read it a lot in the future, and sharing it with other developers may be useful. Okay, improve readability helps you and other developers maintain and support your code long term, especially if you are playing with the GitHub. A clean code is a perfect solution for this matter. Yeah, like this, like we did it before. Don't forget the white space, and then the name that has meaningful. Okay, and the symbol here, and then just don't do the opposite thing. Yeah, see, what is this? Camel can help you with it. Okay, so let me complete this module first. All right, I have done this module. Create and readable code with convention, whitespace, and comments in C#. Pretty fun, pretty satisfying to learn about this. Okay, I think that's it for today. As day 12, tomorrow will be day 13. We will be learn about the I see guided project developed for each and if else structure to process array data. Okay, so tomorrow will be guided project. Maybe much more fun. Just learn about it after this, I think. So yeah, until tomorrow, I think this one is done. Yes. Wait, let me finish this first. I forgot that. Okay, so there you go. Okay, all right. Thank you for today for this video. Until tomorrow, until the next video. and hopefully you enjoy my video. Bye.